Hi guys, welcome back to another video. Now, if you're up to date with the Call of Duty community on Twitter, you will know that quite a lot of people have been calling for Verdansk to come back in Season 5. Now, Season 5 has been announced for Caldera, and it turns out we're not getting Verdansk back. We're instead getting Peak somewhat destroyed by a volcano, to the dismay of the community who only just want Verdansk back at this time. However, I've broken down this aspect of Verdansk. Now, Verdansk came out back in March 2020, and basically it came out just before my country, the UK, was put into lockdown. I think 13 days later after Verdansk came out, the UK was put into lockdown. And basically, you couldn't go out anywhere, and Call of Duty got this lightning in the bottle moment where Verdansk had just come out, Warzone had just come out, this brand new Battle Royale, and everyone was playing it. Everyone has great nostalgia of this map. However, I want to see if it actually was that good, and whether or not it should be brought back into Warzone before Modern Warfare 2 drops at the end of October. If you do like this content, please like, share, and subscribe. I do kind of videos like this now and again, breaking down whether or not Caldera is a good map and stuff like that. And if you want to see me play COD live, then check me out at twitch.tv/RyanSmith_. It'd be great to have you over there. But for now, enjoy the trip down to Milan with Verdansk. Enjoy the video. Alright, so let's look at the map layout of both maps. Now, Caldera's map layout can be criticised quite heavily in the Call of Duty community, and for the most part, rightly so. Now, I would say between the two maps of Verdansk and Caldera, Caldera is by far the better Battle Royale traditional map. However, Verdansk is obviously by far the better traditional Call of Duty map in a Battle Royale format. So, I just want to touch on Caldera first. So, obviously, this is before Factory was added and Storage Town was added to Caldera, so that's just by the by. This is what Caldera looked like when it was first ever released back in December 2021. And obviously the big issue with Caldera is Peak being right in the middle of this map. And it's horrible to trek across, it's horrible to try and maneuver, it's horrible just to be there. We get it, okay? Peak has been done to death. The complaint about Peak has been done to death. I don't think that Call of Duty developers will ever put a big mountain in the middle of a map again. That has been well and truly dealt with. However, because Peak is there, you do tend to see a lot more rotations around Peak because players don't want to go over Peak. They don't want to land Peak. And I think with Caldera, the end zone always pulls away quite dramatically to one of the sides of the map. It's very rare that you will get an end zone that finishes at Peak. It always tends to pull off. So because of that, and because Peak's there, you see a lot more activity in different points of interest across the map. So mines in particular and Beachhead in particular are two very, very busy places, as well as fields and airfield, purely because they all encircle Peak. Alright, so this is what Verdansk looked like following the Cold War integration into Warzone. So, as you can see, Verdansk was very, very clustered in the middle of it. So, whereas Caldera's got Peak in the middle of it, Verdansk didn't have anything like that. So, hotspots for Verdansk mainly were Airport, Superstore, and this area here. Hospital did become a hot drop towards the end of it, purely because of the heli that spawned on top. That became a little bit of a sweaty hot drop towards the end of Cold War's life cycle. However, you got three main points to drop in if you were after big kill games. Airport, but you wouldn't really drop Airport, you'd drop just to the right of Airport, where these little dots are here. Hangars, that's basically what that was. Then you had Superstore, and then you had Factory as well, following the Cold War integration. So that's what you had. You would land there, okay, then you would then think, right, okay, where's the plane going? Where's the circle moving to? Where can it go? Alright, so you'd then start rotating maybe up. So if you land Superstar, you maybe rotate up to Airport, hold maybe anyone coming out of Storage Town. Or you'd push across a TV, then go maybe a rear salt mine. Then if you maybe get one on a finished military base, military base would be probably the end zone. Also, Hospital was a good drop purely because mainly, again, it's pretty much that Peak aspect of it. There's a big tall building right in the middle of the map. And yeah, you pretty much rotate out of any direction basically after that. Maybe downtown, again, maybe Superstore, Factory, train station, promenade, places like that. However, how many of these points of interest would you land in? How often would you land at Lumber, or Farmland, or Prison, for instance, or Summit, or Military Base? How often would you land those places? Salt Mine, I would say, is out of the way, but it's by the by for Salt Mine, purely because there was a lot of good loot there, and a lot of red doors did take you to Salt Mine. However, Summit, Military Base, Farmland, Lumber, Prison, how often did you drop there? Very, very rarely, unless you're just trying to play for a win. Hills as well, another place that no one really dropped. Park, no one really dropped. Promenade West, no one really dropped because, again, it was a little bit out of the way. Promenade East, yes, because the hospital was right there, and so was train station. But you see what I mean? Like, in comparison to Caldera, how many of these places did you drop in? Not that many. So what you're seeing here is a video from a great content creator called Felly. I'll link it in the description below. I'll link his YouTube in the description below as well. Make sure you go check him out. Basically, what you're seeing here is Superstore, right when Verdansk was released. So we're talking like way back, April, May time 2020. And I just want to say, one thing about the buildings of Verdansk is that they were always so dark inside. This is when it just first released. So look how bad this Superstar is inside, of how dark it actually is. So this is actually a funny highlights video from Felly. But look how dark it is. Okay, so it's a bit light there. Then look, as soon as he pans here to the right, look how dark this background is for Verdansk. Now this did get a little bit better as Verdansk's life cycle went on. It was bad at first, but it's no wonder you can see how powerful the rose skins were at the time. There's a reason why rose skins are so overpowered. There's a reason why they lasted all the way through Verdansk's life cycle, because the maps were so dark inside the buildings. And I just think that if Verdansk was to come back, this is one of the things that would have to be looked at, because we're so used to Caldera now, and Caldera being a vibrant map. There's a lot of greenery on the map and stuff like that, whereas Verdansk didn't have that. But yeah, I mean, as you see outside, it wasn't too bad outside. I mean, the shadows are still a bit dark. This is all a bit dark. It might also just be the recording. However, outside wasn't too bad, but inside the buildings was absolutely horrendously bad in terms of how dark they were. Lighting will really need to be looked at if they were to bring Verdansk back to Warzone. These buildings here. So, one, we've touched on the darkness, but two, pushing these buildings is very, very difficult. So, these buildings typically had one staircase at one end, one staircase at the other end, and a ladder going up, I think, on the outside, and I think that was it. They might have had a zip wire added in at some point in the life cycle, I'm not too sure. However, these buildings were just weird, okay? So, they were so difficult to push if you were to camp as a team. Basically, in solos, okay, you could have someone camp in these buildings, okay? So basically, as a solo, you could place a claymore on this side, a claymore on the other side, and not mention the buildings you shoot at now, a claymore on each side, and then you just have to watch the outside ladder of the zip. I don't think there was a zip on them really, I think, in the end. I think it was just an outside ladder. And you have to watch the 3 access points. See, your claymore goes off on the right-hand side and you're on the left-hand side. You can quickly duck into the dark staircase and hide in the staircase. And again, it's such a hard push to make. And for the most part, you just feel like you're fighting in staircases on Verdansk. Now, this building in particular as well, twins ahead again. Eventually, a zip wire was added in. However, you could either get up by the 2 long staircases on the outer side of the map or a zip wire. There was no way of pushing these buildings. So, I think that going from Caldera, where there is so many jump spots and stuff like that, and different hop-up points for each of the buildings, Verdansk would really need to look at that if you'd really have to look for that for Verdansk if you're going to bring it back. Because, I mean, they were just so hard to push. I mean, buildings in Battle Royales should be hard to push, I get that. However, there should be ways to be able to counter this kind of stuff. As you can see, look how dark it is there. Look, that's a prime example right there. Felly's just giving me the prime example of there's just teams camping in staircases. Look at that. Alright, so just to touch on the point of the building lighting, just to compare, just so you can see the comparison between Verdansk and Caldera. I know that was obviously early Verdansk. This is obviously Caldera just a few days ago, to be fair. But I'm running in Capital, which I suppose very much the equivalent of downtown between the two maps. And look how vibrant these buildings are. Yes, there is some dark spots in these buildings, I get that. But just look how vibrant they are when you run inside, okay? You can't really hide with the rose skin in these buildings all that well. The floor is, sort of this like ominous, like, not ominous, but like sort of this orangey colour. The walls are. Look how vibrant these buildings are. Yes, there's some shadows. Yes, there's some dark areas to these. But just look how vibrant this map is. Look how bright that staircase is in comparison to the ones that we just seen on Verdansk. Look at that. Just look how, light it is. So you would have to implement all these lighting changes into Verdansk if you were to bring it back. I would like to see it done, to be honest. I think if you could get the lighting right, be spot on. Got to get away from that rose skin aspect of it. I think Caldera has done somewhat of an okay job of getting away from this. Rose skin is the most overpowered skin. It still really is, to be fair, because you can still blend into a lot of dark corners. However, just the vibrancy of Caldera's buildings in comparison to Verdansk, I think a lot of people forget just how dark Verdansk actually was. Alright, welcome to downtown Verdansk. Now, I'm sure there's a lot of happy memories here, and I'm sure there's also a lot of very unhappy memories here. So, this was downtown, and as you can see, it's quite a built-up area of the map. It's kind of like Capital in Caldera that we've got now. However, there's a slight difference in terms of that we just had skyscrapers in this map. For some strange reason, they decided that, we're going to put some skyscrapers in that you just could not push at all. So, Nakatomi Plaza, right in the middle there, was added season 1 or 2 of Cold War. Basically, when they put that 80s action heroes in, it was a great limited time mode. There was a vault at the top of this that you got specialists out of, and 100 grand in cash. Brilliant mode, brilliant way to drop into, and made for a lot of hot drops at this location. The building was confusing. I think if you've seen Die Hard, then you'll know how confusing the building was in that film. Translated brilliantly into Call of Duty. It's probably one of the best additions that they ever added to Warzone. However, that building had many different ways to push it. You can either fly a helicopter in and stuff like that. There were zip lines on the outside, zip lines on the inside. There were staircases. The building was very confusing due to the footstep audio and stuff like that. So this building wasn't really the biggest issue in downtown. It was like a maze, but it wasn't really the biggest issue. The buildings that had the biggest issue were the buildings to the side of this. So these buildings here on the left-hand side, these buildings here on the right-hand side, and then in particular, this building here, this white building here on the edge of downtown. Now, this building had, by the time Cold War was integrated, had 3 ways to push it. There was a zip line on the outside, a zip line on the inside, and a staircase that you had to run about 15 flights of stairs or 15 floors to get to the top. And if you were coming at the top, you could place a claymore on the inside zip line, a claymore on the staircase, and watch a zip line outside, or a zip line on each, or a claymore on each zip line, and watch a staircase. You couldn't push these buildings. So if Verdansk was to come back, it would need redeploy balloons. Now, these got added to Caldera pretty much very, very early on in Caldera's life cycle as a way of people being able to get around the map. A lot easier because Caldera was slated for its hills and stuff like that and how difficult it is to get around. And it really is difficult to get around. That's like, no one's like sort of taking that away from Caldera. No one will be, if you said it's easy to get around Caldera, you'd be laughed at and you'd be wrong to say that it's easy to get around Caldera. However, if you're going to bring these buildings back, and you're going to bring Verdansk back, you need to either A, do something about these buildings and make sure they're easier to push in terms of, obviously you can't create a hop-up spot for things like Nakatomi Plaza and these skyscrapers. That just wouldn't be a thing. You would have to have some way of making these a lot easier to push than what they were. So, redeployed balloons would have to be added. These buildings would have to be changed a little bit. And the developers, actually, to be fair to them, did recognise how overpowered these buildings were, because towards the end of Cold War's integration of Verdansk, downtown actually got flattened a little bit. They put a massive sort of seismic crater thing through the map, and these buildings actually, majority of them, did get flattened. So it was high that there was an issue back then. You would have to fix that issue to bring Verdansk back, I feel. Moving on from downtown to other really ridiculous areas of the map to push. This image just says it all. If you know, you know. This was the aircraft control tower on airfield. And this was just a nightmare. Basically, this was the camper's dream. Now, I know we have one on Caldera. However, there's an outside staircase. There's an inside air route up. And also, we have redeploy balloons in Caldera. So there's at least 3 ways to be able to drop into an aircraft control tower in Caldera. However, in Verdansk, there wasn't. Basically, you had... Did you have stairs in this? I can't remember if we did. Did we have stairs? No, we didn't have stairs. We had one thing and one thing only. And that was a zip that took you from the bottom to the top. And we had the option to parachute into it. There was only 2 options that were in Verdansk. This was so bad of a camping spot that players took it upon themselves to realise that you could climb a tower on the northwest side of the map and parachute across. Basically, you had to pull the parachute at the right time and then glide across diagonally to this to be able to get campers out of this building. If you were trying to push across airfield, the runway at airport, late zone, there was just no point. You might as well just leave the game because you've lost it, because there'd be no doubt some people sat up here with the sniper at the time, or, some sort of no recoil assault rifle and just beam you. This was the worst bit of map design that Call of Duty probably ever created. I hope it never comes back. If we were to get Verdansk back, I hope this does never ever exist. I hope there's either a way of pushing it a lot more effectively, or it just isn't in the game at all. Now, this is the tweet that I've seen that calls for Verdansk to be brought back. However, only this certain part of it, the bit on top about the hot drop and talking superstore, airport, hospital, just that part of the map to be a bigger resurgence map. However, I don't think I want to see it come back as a resurgence map. I would like to see this part of the map come back, but more as a mini royale mode, and in particular, the mini royale mode being a Modern Warfare weapons only mini royale mode. Now, most people who have played Warzone and who want Verdansk back will have played it during the Modern Warfare era of Verdansk. So most people will have the Modern Warfare guns somewhat ranked up, or most of them ranked up, so they can be able to create a loadout based on the Modern Warfare guns and just drop back into Verdansk and play this game mode. And I think that would bring a huge amount of hype for Modern Warfare 2 when it comes out in October. I feel like we haven't got long left of Warzone. I think Warzone will totally die once Modern Warfare 2 comes out. The player base is already on its way out. I think that once the new Call of Duty drops and most people switch from Warzone back to multiplayer to grind the guns ahead of Warzone 2, I feel like this could keep somewhat of the player base back in Warzone. Alright, so do I think that Verdansk should come back into Warzone? I think yes, it should be added back in some capacity. I think that is the best way to get this player base back, all singing from the same hymn sheet once again. You know, the Call of Duty community don't often agree on much. However, for some reason, we're all agreed on the fact that Verdansk should return in some way before Modern Warfare 2 drops at the end of October. I feel like either a mini royale mode would be perfect, or even just bringing back the full map and just get rid of Caldera and having that BR mode would again be absolutely spot on. Maybe just make a Modern Warfare guns only or something like that. I think that would be great to do. However, do I think Verdansk will be added back? No. Because if Verdansk is added back into Warzone, the developers have to admit that Caldera failed. And I think too much money has been spent on Caldera in terms of designing the map, building the map, paying employees to create the map, then marketing the map. And I don't think it's been a bad change to Caldera. That's the thing. I think if Caldera released in the state when it had the deployable balloons, I think Caldera would have been pretty much widely accepted. However, it didn't release like that. It released in such a bad state, and people just wanted Verdansk back from the start. Those voices got louder and louder, and yeah, I think that it should come back, but it won't come back. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Do you want to see Verdansk back? Do you want to see Caldera just stay out the days of Warzone? Are you just over Warzone to the point now where you just want Warzone 2 and Modern Warfare 2 to just be released? Do let me know. And as always, I will see you in the next video very, very soon.